Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Winnipeg Jets franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode, we had the second round against the Colorado Avalanche, and they proved to be a tough team as we predicted, as they took us out in 6 games. Now what's kind of interesting is New Jersey went on to win the Stanley Cup, and obviously that's where Cole Perfetti ended up. So Cole Perfetti now has won 3 Stanley Cups in the series, which is pretty crazy. But I'd say our team still had a pretty good run for the most part. I think the main thing that our team was missing was a veteran defenseman, kind of like Charlie McAvoy was for us when we won the Stanley Cup, because our young defensive core didn't have the best of times, and our goaltending really didn't either. So maybe it would have been better if we would have brought back Charlie McAvoy for a year, but at the same time, we got to at least experience some hockey from some of the younger guys that didn't get a chance last time around, like Louis Farah. Rantanen got to play some games. Scarlett got into the NHL because we lost McAvoy. So I think it was good that we end up doing that, even though we did technically sacrifice ourselves to another Stanley Cup. But I think this team obviously could get there again this offseason, and hopefully, or not this offseason, this upcoming season, and hopefully we get better goaltending numbers as well when we get to the playoffs next, because obviously those playoff numbers that we got from Gabriel Dag really weren't that good. So yeah, I was impressed with the offense, especially from Groshek, but everybody else on the team kind of more a little bit average too. So our offense maybe wasn't the best. Like the depth scoring definitely was, but the amount of offense that we got from some players wasn't as good as I was hoping for. Like for instance, Luke Misa only had like 6 points in 12 games and was -10. He needs to be a lot better than that. So hopefully we get a little bit better performances once we get back to the playoffs again next year. But anyways, before we get into this draft and resign stage, let's get into your guys' comments now and see what you guys have to say about last episode. So the first comment is from Michael Dose, who says defense needs to be addressed, but Scarlett and Dag need to be blamed too. And I disagree on the defense, like I was just mentioning. I replied to your comment, actually. I think you probably saw it anyways. But yeah, I think it's like literally because of the fact we didn't have a Charlie McAvoy. Like our defense went from having a 92 or whatever the heck McAvoy was, maybe an 89 with this core, to having only like a 78 and a 79 and stuff like that replace them. So technically you can kind of see why that drop off maybe happened on the defensive side of things. So hopefully that's not a problem we really run into in the future. Like hopefully some of these guys get some good growth, like maybe Louis Var's an 82 by next season, and that makes our top 4 look a lot better than it did this season. But the goaltenders, on the other hand, yeah, I would definitely put it, especially on Gabriel Dag, because Scarlett really didn't play that much. But yeah, Gabriel Dag needed to be much better than that, because the year we won the Stanley Cup, he was actually a really good goaltender. But this season, he just like did not find it in the playoffs. Like this season, he actually technically won the Jennings as the best goaltender in the league with the goals against and all that stuff. But in the playoffs, he just could not find that consistency, which is really weird. But you can see the year we won the Stanley Cup, he had a .931 save percentage. So if he could get back to that type of goaltending, that would be amazing. But at the same time, I don't know if his time here is going to be for much longer, because Scarlett, and also because we have Stanley King in the system ready to jump up to the NHL. So I don't know if Gabriel Dag will be with us next season. And speaking of which, the next comment is from Det Allen Gamble, who says, I think it's time for Dag to go. He's not your guy. And I'm leaning that way as well. He does have RFA status, which is good. So we should be able to maybe move him in the fact is he's an pending RFA. If he was a pending UFA, I think we'd just have to let him go to free agency. But since he's a pending RFA, we should be able to move his rights. And then, as I said, Logan Scarlett would probably end up being the starter. And Stanley King, who had 1 year in the AHL, played 1 NHL game and was really good last season, he will likely be the backup. So excited to see what he ends up like. He was a first-round pick, so it's exciting to see our goalies developing at a pretty good pace. The next comment is from Michael Dose, who says, if you can't get Denis and go Manderville, I would trade down in number 8 to like number 11 or 12 and pick up maybe a second or third rounder, since he's supposed to go at 14. I also would trade Dag. So he's also mentioned about trading Dag, but he said if we can't get Denis, then to go Manderville instead. So Denis is a franchise defenseman that's supposed to go first overall this year. I was contemplating potentially moving up to get him. But I don't know if it's going to be feasible. It might be too much value that for us to try and move up. But he was saying Manderville, which is this dude. And Manderville's a DFD. That's the only problem with him. There is a chance that he's medium elite, though, but I don't know if he is. So it's a major risk, but obviously he'd be a good defenseman to add to our core because he adds another good shutdown defenseman, and he is NHL ready. So technically, if we can't move up to get number one, he's saying to move back a little bit so we get ourselves a good defensive defenseman into our blue line, which it would be a great addition to do. So there is a chance that we could do that. However, we do also have what Saturn Otaku was mentioning, so we do have a little bit of a dilemma on what we want to do here. Saturn Otaku says, tough scene, definitely agree that you need to work on the defensive side of things, so that's where you should be focusing your energy in the draft. Based on his strengths and that he's not guaranteed for him to be a two-way, there's a possibility that Denis is an offensive defenseman. I'm not sure I would risk what is likely to be a tremendous amount of capital for that, but instead target Goldman, who's projected to be a medium elite two-way forward and a gem. So he's saying to maybe try and move up to get ourselves a center two-way forward to help with the defensive play a little bit. So it's an offensive player, but it's a player that could also play great defensively. So we either bring in a guy like this or try to bring in a guy like this to help us out in terms of that down the middle offense. Because you think about Goldman would be probably the perfect replacement for somebody like Stankoven or for Luke Nisa down the road. So bringing him in could be a good option for sure, considering we don't have, I think, a lot of center prospects. It could be a great option to do that. Now, if we wanted to target defense, obviously we'd do what Michael was mentioning and target maybe Manderville instead, since he's an NHL-ready defenseman. Or maybe we go for somebody like even Roloff, who, he's 3 years out, so probably I'd go with Manderville because he's NHL-ready, but it's a little bit of an interesting one. Like, I don't know if this guy's actually medium elite. I don't think he is. I think he's going to be a medium 4. So I think he's probably going to be kind of similar to what Scarlett is right now, which is a 78 medium top 4 defenseman. So I might want to target a forward instead to kind of make us a little bit better. Like, this Goldman guy could end up being a good guy to put on our penalty kill or something like that. Like I said, perfect replacement for like a Luke Misa or for a Stankoven if we need to. Like, he could generate into being one of our top 6 forwards as well. The only thing is he does have a weakness in character, which I don't really like, because obviously I think our team is a little bit more of a tight-knit group. So it's a little bit of a tough one, but we will see if we could maybe move up to number 1. But obviously, if we can't move up to number 1, maybe we'll look at that defenseman or at this center. I don't really know exactly yet, but let's see what it's going to end up costing us. Let's get to this draft and see what it's going to cost for the first overall pick. Do they want to move it is the question. If they want to move it, that'll help out a lot, which they don't. It's the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course, too, who is going to be getting maybe a franchise offensive defenseman unless we could find something that works, which I think I have an idea of what I want to do. It would be moving basically both of our first round picks, which is a lot of value. But I think that wouldn't get it done on its own. Like, if I just moved 8th and 26th to move up to number 1, I don't think that works. I might have to add the rights to Gabriel Dag to get this done. Let's see if this works. Rejected. How much value does Gabriel Dag have? He actually has some pretty good value. Okay. Pittsburgh would have too many goalies, so I'd have to take back a crappy goaltender, huh? Who's a pending free agent that I wouldn't bring back? Petrovic, Rizzy. I could just take in Jari, but I'm not going to do that. Let's just take Rizzy here. Yeah, this might be able to get it done, to be honest. I'm going to try this. I know you guys say maybe it's not worth it to move up, but at the same time, if we give up 2 first-round picks and Dag, who we're not going to be using anymore, to get the first overall pick, I think it's worth it. So let's see if this works. Rejected. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to move up. They might want way too much more. I would really like a franchise defenseman, but at the same time, I don't know if we have... I actually have multiple second rounders as well. I'd be willing to throw in Columbus's second rounder at this rate. So let's see if that works. It's a lot of value, but if it doesn't work, I'm not willing, obviously, to give up 3 first-round picks. But let's see if this works. Rejected still. Value isn't there whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. They don't want Dag too, which kind of makes it a little bit tougher as well. If I do the second and a third, I don't think this would work either. Let's see about that. No. Who else do they have interest in other than Gabriel Dag? Skaters matching block. They do have interest in Stankoven, but I wouldn't want to move him in this deal. Matsumoto they have interest in, and I don't know if he's going to pan out, to be honest, at this rate. What if I add Matsumoto to this deal? No. I don't need to take in Rizzy now. Matsumoto I don't think is going to pan out, but we'll see if we're going to still be able to try and get this done. I don't need Fairchild really either. No, they don't want it. Fairchild really. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it done, unfortunately. I was thinking about moving Matsumoto in that deal because he's not really going to pan out, but there's no way we're going to be able to move to number 1, unfortunately. And yep, there is a 79 overall two-way defenseman in Francois Denis. Would have been really nice to get this guy, but it just would have cost us too much. So with the 8th overall pick, do we want to try and move up to number 4 to get that two-way forward? Let's see if Washington's willing to move that 4th overall pick for our 8th and our 26th. Because I think that would be worth it for them, potentially. In a way, they're moving back 4 spots, and they're getting extra. Actually, let's give them a 2nd rounder instead. See if that could work. So we're getting 8th and 45th to move up 4 spots. That might not be enough. We might have to add like more to that. Yeah, it's not working right now. What about... Let's just give the 26th overall pick. To be honest, I don't really see it being much of anything anyways. Maybe a top 6 forward, and this one might be just another top 6 forward. Let's see if we can move up to 4th. Not working. Not even 2 first rounders to move up 4 spots. That's not ideal. We might actually have to try and move back, but I do have multiple picks in other rounds I could use. So let's try and add like the 3rd rounder from the Sabres into this deal. No, that doesn't work. What do you guys have interest in Gabriel Dag? I don't have interest in him anymore, right? They don't have any interest. They do like Laura Kynan though, which I would be willing to move Laura Kynan. They'd be over the goalie limit. I don't know why all these teams have all the max goalies they need, but apparently they do. What else we got here? They do have interest in Matsumoto, but that's probably too much to add to this deal. Mishenko. We could add probably like Fairchild and Mishenko almost to this deal. Let's see if they would take Fairchild on. Nope, that doesn't work either. This draft class might be a bit tougher to move up in, which is unfortunate. I could always do the trade finder to see if there's a better option out there. What else we could give up to this deal? I don't know if there's really much I would want to give up. Like Matsumoto probably would be the one because of the fact that he's not going to pan out really. But to move up only 4 spots and give up an elite prospect seems kind of ridiculous. So we might have to try and move up to... Where is that guy supposed to go? Is he supposed to go 4th? He's supposed to go 3rd/4th. So if we move up to 3rd, would that work instead? Would the Rangers be willing to make a deal with us? This actually might be a tough one to actually try and move up in, so we might not be able to. But if we gave them 8th and 26th, and then we also gave them, I don't know, Columbus's 2nd round pick, would this get it done? No, it would not. I don't think there's a chance we're going to be able to move up here. They do have interest in Gabriel Dag, though. But we're going to have to wait, though, a sec, because St. Louis is going to make their selection. But the Rangers do have interest in Dag, which might help us out a lot, considering the other teams weren't interested in him. Who is St. Louis going to take, or are they going to trade their pick? Because they are taking their sweet-ass time here, and they take weeks. Who is the grinder? Okay, now let's try and make this deal happen with the Rangers here, because they are on the clock. Let's see if we could find a way to get this done. So we'll add in Gabriel Dag to this deal. And we will have to take in a goalie again in this deal who's a pending free agent if they have one, which they do have. Almost all their goalies are actually pending free agents, which is interesting. So I guess we'll just take in this Hirsch guy and see if that works. That should be able to get it done hypothetically, but the move up 5 spots. Is there anything else I could get in this deal? Like, can I get like a pick back into it? Like, you guys have extra 4th round picks. If I take in a 4th rounder at 98th, would you be willing to do that? The value is heavily going towards them, so we're technically getting a little bit fleeced in this deal in a sense. But we are... Actually, maybe I should try and get like a higher up pick than that. I'll take your second rounder. So I'm basically moving back into second round. I don't know if this would work, to be honest, but we'll try that. No. Let's see if they'd be willing to give me their third rounder in this deal, because I am moving back a little bit with some of it. Value is too far off. Okay, so if I get rid of the 66th overall pick and then just do this straight up, would this work? Nope, apparently not. So apparently an elite goalie who's pending RFA and 2 first rounders isn't enough to move up 5 spots. That's actually kind of ridiculous, to be honest. I don't know if we're going to be able to find a way to move up, guys, unfortunately. I'm going to try my best still here because we do still have time to do it. But yeah, this is going to be tough. Like, I would probably have to throw Matsumoto into this deal as well, and I don't know if I'm willing to do that. Kulikov, Fairchild, I could move into this deal again, like I said. Fairchild's not going to pan out. What if you want Fairchild too? So that way you're getting a top 6. Oh my goodness. So that way you're getting a top 6 forward prospect with Dag in 2 first round picks. That's a lot to give up just to move up 5 spots. Admiral is just a bit low for us. Okay, so what is a little bit better than Fairchild? Mishenko maybe? Would you take a Mishenko in this deal instead? Just a touch. Are you serious? Come on, we have not a lot of time left on the clock. So instead of Mishenko, what about Kulikov? He's 71 at 19. Would this work? Just a bit low. Are you serious? Come on. We're right down to the wire here. Lannon. I don't want to move Lannon, but Lannon is probably the best bet. What if I add Lannon? He's NHL ready almost. No. Oh my goodness, just a bit touch. We're not going to be able to move up on time. Yep, there you go. Rangers take Ferentz instead, though. Would Washington want to move this pick now? Because they weren't wanting to budge before, but we mightn't be able to work something out here. But they didn't have any interest in Dag, though, which is interesting. But we give them Lorakainen instead. That's okay with me. And what if I gave them Kulikov? Because Kulikov was a former first-round pick, right? Yeah, he was a former late first-round pick when we won the Stanley Cup, I think. So, we give up all this. I know Lorakainen doesn't have the same value as Dag. That's the only problem. They do need to give up a goalie in this deal. So, let's see what they have for goalies. Pending free agent ones. I don't know why they would want him, though, to be honest, considering the fact that they have already 2 good overall goalies in the NHL. But apparently they do. Let's just take in Boudreaux. I don't know if this is going to work, to be honest, but we're going to try it. Hey, okay. Now they wanted to do that deal. So Kulikov, Lorakainen, the goalie, and then the 2 first-round picks to move up 4 spots. It's a lot of capital to give up, but we do get ourselves that 2-way forward that we wanted now. So, I don't know if that was worth it in a sense. Goldman is going to be decent, and he's going to hopefully be a future Selke winner. But holy crap, that was a lot to give up. And we were that close to making that same deal with the Rangers, but the Rangers didn't budge just barely. But Goldman is listed as a gem, so let's bring in Kurt Goldman to the Winnipeg Jets. 78 overall 2-way forward. Not too bad, not too bad at all. And he does have all alone. He wears number 88, so maybe a fan of Patrick Kane, but he could actually play defense, so maybe not. Yeah, looks like a very good all-around player. So that's going to be very nice. That's going to be very nice to have down the middle. Which does this mean make certain players expendable? Because Ryan McLeod is our current 4th-line center. I think that makes him expendable at least. And Goldman would take his spot for now. But eventually, within the next few years, that makes Luke Misa, Logan Stankoven expendable maybe too. Because obviously Goldman probably will generate some good growth and maybe be an 84, 85 in a few years. So that's a really solid pick, obviously. And hopefully we made the right selection. I'm curious on what the guys that the Jets, that we gave up, basically, that we could have drafted at 8th overall. Pajot went afterwards. Okay, let's see. Who goes 8th overall? Is it a big loss? Not really. So basically, it was Adamski. It's a part of this deal. He's a power forward. Looks pretty decent. That's who we could have drafted if we wanted. And then what about that defenseman that was mentioned? Was he actually medium elite or was he a medium 4? There's Roloff. Pessinen, a high 9. Yikes. Asham, who's a medium top 6, 73. Manderville, there he is. So Manderville is a 76 defensive defenseman. I think we made the right selection to try and move up for the forward instead. But Manderville is still a solid defenseman for the Ottawa Senators now. Let's sim to our next pick, and let me take a look at the late first round pick we gave up, which was our own first rounder in that deal. And Washington took Kerslake. So they take 2 top 6 forwards basically in that deal. They also get Kulikov, who's another top 6 forward prospect. And Laurikainen, who has elite potential, but probably won't reach it. So they get a lot of pieces for that medium elite guy, but I think it was worth it. And now we are on the clock here in the second round. And of course my batteries are low, so hopefully they don't die before I make my selection here, because that would be kind of annoying. I think we got to prioritize defenseman, as we were mentioning. This guy's an offensive defenseman, but he might be only a medium 6. There's also Harrison Foote, but he looks way worse. Yeah, this draft class actually doesn't really look the best. Oh, there's a low elite here. Bjorn Backer. We're going to take Bjorn Backer here with our second rounder early on. 61 overall, so here we go. We made a great play. Basically, we get ourselves the exact same type of thing as what that top 4 DFD was like, but we get a low elite instead who's right-handed and a defensive defenseman. I like it. I think that's a great pick, obviously, because I love myself low elites. Hopefully that guy droves really, really solidly. Do we have any other interesting players at the stage defensively? Jordan Riddle. What a name. No weakness, 4 years out. The 4 years out is intriguing. What else we got here? Baldwin. Baldwin looks pretty good. Reed 2. And maybe. We are definitely trying to prioritize our defenseman. Low 4 in Hammerlick. Not going to take him since he's only a low 4. We want to shoot for the moon, so to speak. He might be medium 4. I don't know. I might honestly go with a Riddle here. Riddle actually looks pretty bad, to be honest. The best of the bunch looks like Baldwin, so we're going to go with the overager in Dawson Baldwin with our next pick. And he's a medium 4 offensive defenseman. 64 overall, that's pretty good. Obviously, he's 19 already, so that makes it a little bit risky, but this guy could still generate some good growth and be like a very good either AHL defenseman maybe, or he'll be actually a top 4 defenseman in the NHL, so don't mind that pick either. We're just trying to address our defensive needs a lot. And now there's a goalie potentially that I think we should probably take a goalie in this draft, considering we just traded away Laurikainen. We need to stop another goalie for the AHL at some point. So this guy's got no strength and no weakness, but he's a goalie per Bergqvist. Let's take a chance on him. Why not? He is a high elite 47 overall. Wow, okay, we didn't expect him to be high elite, but 47 at 17. I mean, him having the high elite potential, he should generate some really good growth and be a decent goalie at some point, but how old is he going to be when he makes the NHL is the curiosity thing, because of the fact he's only a 47. But that's a really good pick. We're making some really good picks here in this draft. And we do still have another third rounder here as well. Is there anything interesting? I don't think any of these defenders are worth taking at this stage. Maybe. Sugablov might be okay, but he's 20 years old. I might still take him anyways. There's also Ricard Ramo. I might go with Ricard Ramo instead. Ooh, Goddard is listed as a gem. So he's probably low elite. So we're going to go with Jordan Goddard here. He's 19 as well, but we're going to take him since he's a gem. And wow, okay. Medium elite offensive defenseman, 57 overall at 19. Obviously, he's a low overall at 19 for a medium elite, but the fact that he has medium elite potential, maybe he generates into being a very good offensive defenseman for us. He could play both sides too. I am really liking how this draft is for our team right now. We're making some really good decisions, and this is only going to make our prospect pool even better, even though we're already a very solid young team. So hopefully a lot of these guys end up growing into being very good NHL players at some point. And in our next pick here, do we have anything else intriguing? There's more goalie prospects. Do I want to take another one? Maybe. It wouldn't be a bad option to take multiple goalie prospects. This guy has no weakness, but he's probably like he's probably a backup. He's probably one of those weird overall backup guys. So I don't think I will take him, but that's an intriguing pick still. What about Wellwood? Same type of boat, a little bit older though. Let's see, potential-wise, maybe. Is there any guys that could be good? Bradley Millen, he's 19. Might be a low elite here. And then there's also Breland. Breland would be a better one for the next round. So let's take a chance on a forward for a change. Bradley Millen, welcome aboard. Is he a low elite too? No, he's low 9. There's our worst selection of the draft. But we were bound to have one at some point, considering of how good our first few rounds were. Is there anything else interesting here, though? Do we want to take a chance on that other guy that we were saying that might be a little elite? That Breland dude? And you know what? We're going to just do it. Might as well. He's a big guy. Let's take a chance. Low 6. It's okay. We're not trying to make necessarily good selections in every single round, but we're trying our best here. Blackburn. Might be low elite. We'll take a chance on you because you're a defenseman. Medium 7th. Okay, yeah, we're at the stage definitely where this draft class has dropped off a lot. But that's okay. And our final pick of this draft. Not really seeing any guaranteed low elites, which kind of sucks. These guys are 19. A lot of overagers in this back half of the draft. We're just going to take this Agostino guy just because of his last name, because my Arizona series years ago. Bottom 6'4", damn. That was still a really good draft, though, for us. In those first 3 rounds, we grabbed ourselves some really good players. We get Goldman, who's the medium elite 2-way forward. We get Backer, who, I forget, yeah, he's low elite defensive defenseman. We get Baldwin, who I think, did he have, what was his potential? I can't remember. Bergquist was good. Goddard was solid. Like, I think we had a really good draft here. And I'm very excited to see what those guys end up developing to being like for the rest of our team. Because obviously our team is right now really solid, but those guys are definitely going to be parts of the future team that might be playing with some of these guys on our roster here. So we do have some scouts to bring back, apparently. I think is what it said. Yep. So let's bring back our scouts. Because our scouts have been doing a very good job so far in this series. Even though they're not all A scouts, they've been all doing really well in terms of finding me some good players to draft. So shout out to the scouting pool. And we got Halak as well. I like it that the scout's name is Yaroslav Halak, though. It's kind of funny. Okay, so we didn't end up trading away Gabriel Dag. That's a bit of a problem. I didn't even think of that. So we might have to just qualify him and try and trade away his rights this offseason. So we'll wait till free agency, I guess. But I probably should have traded him at the draft. But I completely forgot about it after we made that one trade up. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Okay, we got 36 million in cap space. Let's go to the bottom of this list here and see what we got to re-sign here. So obviously Scarlett's gonna get 2 years deal on, and he's a UFA. That's a bit of a risk, but you know what? I'm gonna just do it. Why not? Why not give him a little bit of a trial run, considering he's gonna be our starter of the future? Let's get Grant signed back up for the AHL for 2 years. That's fine with me. Boudreaux, who we literally just brought in as that extra goaltender, he's not going to come back, but that's okay. What else we got here? Kairu. He's the interesting one. Galvis as well. Galvis could easily get replaced, I think. Bishop's going to get his extension already. Nordstrom probably wants a one-way deal. No, he wants two-way. We'll take it. Barnett as well. Might as well get all these RFA guys back because most of them want two-way deals, which is good. Roach, you're only going to get a 1-year deal, though. Do I want to sign Reese? 70 at 20 is not bad. Let's just give him an ELC, might as well. Right wing-wise, we're obviously going to... He's a UFA at the end of that, too. That's not a bad deal, though. He's actually a pretty useful player, Wilson. I'm going to try and give Wilson a decent long-term deal. Not too long-term, but not too short-term either, because I did really like how he played last season. as a fourth liner, so if he gets elevated time soon, he might be really good. So let's try and get him for something like that for 5 years, 2.45. I think that's a good way to trust the youth movement a little bit more. Fairchild, oh boy. I mean, he could play in the AHL, so might as well. Skrbek, we are going to not qualify this guy just because to make room for Fairchild. Not going to sign Garatin. What else do we want here? Rafalski's going to come back for the AHL. He might end up being an NHL depth option. We'll see. McGillis is going to get signed as well. Moroza's not going to pan out, so he's not going to get signed. I don't even know if I'm going to sign this top 6 forward prospect. Yeah, I don't think he's going to pan out being a grinder. So Albert O'Sullivan's not going to get his ELC. And same with Osborne. For centers, I think all of them are going to go except for obviously the RFAs. So we're going to re-sign Cam for a two-way deal. And also Ranta. Matsumoto is going to definitely get his ELC just because he's got that potential. But we're going to be letting go of Colby Barlow because he's never panned out. We're going to let go of Christian Dvorak because he was just brought in as a cap whale. And then Ryan McLeod is a tough one because obviously I've liked how he's played this year. But the fact that we just drafted a center two-way forward that's going to be playing probably as a fourth liner next season, we got to let him go. So Ryan McLeod, thank you for your time here. I appreciate what you've done. You helped us get a Stanley Cup. And yeah, we wish you the best in free agency. So Ryan McLeod is gone. A little bit of a tough one to do there. But now it comes down to the interesting ones. Galvis and Kyrou. I feel like Galvis could get replaced easily here at this point. But let me just take a look at our defensive core at the moment. So we got Palin Vandermeer. We're going to try and re-sign Kyrou for that top 4. And then we had Vernarski, Louisvar, Ranton, and Scarlett still fighting Bishop. Yeah, there's a bit of a log jam. There is a bit of a log jam, but Galvis he's a lefty. Trying to think if I want to hold on to him or not. I mean, I could re-sign him and then decide if I want to actually hold on to him. Like, I could trade him away after signing him, which might not be great for the morale of this team, but that might be what I want to do. He does want not terrible amount of money. But let's start with Kyrou here. What is he wanting? I know he retires relatively quick, I feel like. And he does regress a bit. If I gave him a 3-year deal, and let's try getting him down a little bit here in price point. Like, can I get you down to 8.5 for 3 years? I think I'd be willing to do that based on the offensive load he brings to this team. Let's do that. And I don't know if I actually will bring back Galvis, to be honest. I'm leaning towards no based on the logjam of defenders. And then goalie-wise, obviously, Gabriel Dag is going to maybe get qualified here. He wants a lot of money. I think I'm going to qualify him and just shop his rights around, basically. That's what I'm going to do in next episode. So let's just send him a qualifying offer. If he accepts that qualifying offer, we might just trade him afterwards. Like, I don't really know, but I should have probably traded him at the draft, but oh well. Let's advance today and just see if we get all those guys, which likely we will, considering we're a great team. If anybody rejects, I would be kind of surprised, to be honest. Okay, so Christian Kyrou rejected and Caden Wilson rejected. And Galvis obviously didn't get an extension yet. Let's just do pretty much exactly what they're asking for Kyrou. I'm okay with 8.7. I really like his offensive play because if you look at Christian Kyrou's stats over the last few years, he's been a very solid 50-plus point defenseman, so I think he's worth that type of money for now. Wilson, like I said, I wouldn't mind locking him up for a 5-year deal if he's willing. Would you take 2.6 for 5 years instead? We actually have a good chunk of cap space still, which is kind of crazy. Because we might have a full roster for next season almost. Oh, my controller just died, so just give me a second, guys. Got to change my batteries. Okay, we are back. Sorry about that. It's kind of awkward when it just randomly dies in the middle of that, but okay. Let's see if these two dudes accept. Kyrou rejects and Wilson accepts. Let's see if we could still get Kyrou because we have the flexibility cap-wise too, so let's give him a bit more than he's asking for. I'm okay with doing that. And I think that's it. Yeah, let's advance a day. See if Kairu accepts, please, Kairu. He's not too happy being on this team anymore. Okay, I'm going to have to overpay on him. I don't know why he's not too happy. Maybe because he's not that #1 guy. But we will overpay a little bit on him. But that's still a movable contract based on what he brings, I think, to teams. So I'm okay with that. So let's advance a day. And he's still going to reject 9.1. What if I gave you a 1-year deal instead? That way I have the option to shop you around if need be. Because if we lose him, Galvis would probably be important to bring back. So I need to know about him resigning. He does resign on the 1-year deal. So he would be a pending free agent again at the end of the season. But I'm thinking that he might be able to get replaced at some point anyways. I think I am going to let go of Galvis though still. Because our defensive core right now has these 4 guys in our top 4. Galvis, I think, is listed as top 4. No, he's listed as top 6. I like Louis Vara as a top 6 defenseman. Bishop has a chance. Ranton and Scarlett. Yeah, there's a log jam, so I think we're going to let go of Galvis here. So, Thomas Galvis, former pick in the first year that we had this franchise mode, obviously. He's been an okay defenseman at times, not the best player by any means. His rookie season was his best year in terms of goal scoring and defensive play. And in the playoffs, obviously, he won a Stanley Cup, and he was really good in that year for us, but hasn't really done as much since then. So, Thomas Galvis, best of luck in free agency. Hopefully, you find a team to sign with. And looks like Dag actually... No, Dag hasn't accepted yet. I thought Dag already accepted his RFA status. Then I was like, oh boy. But $27 million in cap space. Obviously, Dag, if he accepts, will cost us another $7 million. So we are probably going to try and shop him around. And obviously, I don't really know what we need to bring into this team this offseason, but we're going to have to sign something because we're still kind of a team that's under the cap, I feel like. Because likely we're going to be running Scarlett and King as the 2 goaltenders. In terms of defense, we'd be running Palin, Vandermeer, Kairu, Fernarski, Louis Vara. Bishop has a chance, Rainin, Scarlett up there, Nordstrom even. Like, we have a lot of defenders. Right wing side of things, we got Hellenius, Irving, Jacquezie, Wilson. Left wing side of things, we got Groshek, and then Misa, Lucius, Stankoven, Luke Misa, Kagorodov, Goldman, Cam even. Like, what do we have technically for our roster here? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We might be able to use we might be able to use another 4th liner at some point, it looks like, unless we want to use Rafalski and stuff like that. Lanin, like, we got guys in the system we could promote, but we might need a cap oil. We might need a cap oil. There's a chance, I mean, I guess we could technically, if we really want to, run King as an AHL starter again. But at the same time, he's probably going to get a lot of growth for next season, and then we could probably think about Dag, but, because I'm trying to think of, like, our goaltending situation is definitely going to be the weakest point on this team. Yeah, I don't really know what we're going to need in free agency, but let's sim to free agency and see what's out there anyways. We'll also take a look at the trading block just in case there's anything maybe we can make a blockbuster trade for, but let's start here in free agency, see what's available. So starting off with the goaltenders. Not that we need a goaltender because obviously we're trying to not add another goalie to this pool of goaltenders we already have, but I'll show you guys the goaltenders. Dustin Wolf's the best, and a bunch of other guys are like backup goalies. Defensively, if we wanted to upgrade our defensive core a bit more, Charlie McAvoy's back in free agency again after another 1-year stint. I don't remember where he signed that year though. Dallas. Okay. Yeah, so obviously he won a Stanley Cup with us, and then he went to the Dallas Stars, who ended up giving us their 1st round pick, which is kind of funny. Your check is there. Wow. There's some pretty solid defenders, at least in these top 4 guys. Lindstein, Lundqvist, Liljegren. But I don't really know if a defender is what we need with the logjam. That's why we let go of Galvis, so. In terms of forwards, if we want to bring in a forward, Kucherov's there, Lakir, Mackey. There's some pretty solid forwards. I mean, I think I have seen Lakir and Mackey simulate really well in franchise mode, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, there's some good options. And if we want to bring in like 4th line options as well, there is options for that. Like Yakula is back in free agency again. So after we dealt him, he had a really good year in the AHL, and then Chicago decided not to sign him up again. So shout out to Yakula if we want to bring him back again. Taylor's even a decent fourth line option too. He is a sniper though, so I don't know if I would like that for a fourth line guy. I'd prefer to lean towards like two-way forwards, maybe like Tucker Robertson here. I don't even know. He's not even that good defensively though. Left wing side of things, not the best in the left wing pool. The best is Fogamo, of all people. Johnny Gaudreau has dropped off a lot. He's 38 now. Malcolm Spence. I have seen him simulate really well in franchise mode, but it seems like he's not simulating well in this franchise. Because in my Draft to Glory series, he's been doing really well, and he just recently retired. He recently retired in my Draft to Glory series, and he was really good in that series, but so far in this one, not so much, which is interesting. In terms of centers, what do we got here? Fantilli. Damn. Adam Fantilli. We don't need centers, but holy moly. There's some good ones. And Cole Perfetti is going to be testing the free agent market after winning a Stanley Cup in New Jersey. So shout out to Cole Perfetti. Got dealt multiple times last season, and he's going to join a new team again this year. And he's already a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. So wherever he goes, might win a Stanley Cup. Where is he maybe going? Edmonton, Minnesota, Carolina, Calgary, Boston, or Washington? Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we really need centers. It's more wingers for the bottom six if we wanted to bring in anybody. That's why we let go of like Ryan McLeod. So Tierney. Ooh, this Tierney guy's kind of interesting. Marshall Tierney. I don't know why he got let go of. He is a playmaker with not the best offensive awareness, but interesting player to say the least. He's a lowly 81 overall at 25. I don't know if I have the room to slot him in anywhere because he's a third-line scoring forward. If he was a fourth-liner, that would be great, but he's not. I don't know if there was any players that I would really want to bring in. What about trade-wise? This could be where it's really interesting. Obviously, if there's any good trade assets, because like I said, we could try and trade away Dag in this next episode, because I would have tried to trade him away at the draft, but I got confused a little bit and realized that we didn't trade him by the end of it. So let's see, is there anybody worth trading him for? I might have to just go to the trade finder. David Pastrnak with 2 years left. We know that he could simulate really well, but obviously, do we need somebody like that in our roster? Probably not. Let's see what else we got here. I might have to just go to the trade finder and see what Dag could potentially fetch us. Sam Girard would be a great defenseman to have, but he is still signed for another year after this year. Dallas, who just obviously gave us their first rounder, doesn't have anything, of course, considering they're probably more rebuilding. Which is kind of crazy because them recording this, Dallas actually won like 9-2 the night before, which is kind of ridiculous. So, Slavkovsky, but 5 years left at that price point. No, thank you. Some solid players there in Montreal, though. Geeky on 1 year left. Is he listed as a fourth liner? He kind of is. Wow, he's not really developed that well compared to what he developed like a few years ago in NHL, which is interesting. Nothing there for Rangers. Ottawa has Batherson with 1 year left. I don't know why he's listed as a center still, though, because he doesn't even play center. Drake Batherson's a really good player, and at that price point, too, that's a good contract. Josh Norris with 2 more years left on his contract. Allmark's there. Norris or Batherson would be great for the offensive core we have right now, but I don't really have the room in terms of centers and stuff like that for them. Like, it's a little bit weird. Like, I don't know where I would slot these guys in. Like, I don't think we really need them at all. Like, it's more, like I said, fourth line guys kind of that we'd need. Or guys to bolster our defensive core a little bit more, if we really want to, instead of playing younger guys. But I would prefer to play those younger guys still. Cairo's even there. So there is some really good players on the block. I don't know why Ruziska's up to an 88. Okay, I can see why. He just had a really good season out of nowhere. Oh, he's actually been a very good player in Tampa Bay. Damn. He's only putting up 39 points now. He's at 60-point player plus. Interesting. Didn't really expect that from him. Braden Point with a year left. Why are all these guys like centers? I mean, we could make a trade for one of them, but like I said, I don't think it's really something I want to do, because I like trusting in the younger players on the team that we have at the moment. So there is the trading block. I will go quickly to the find trade option just to see if there's anything interesting that the AI throws me for Dag for his rights. Let's see. Cairo and Heinola. I don't want both those guys. Point, a second, and a 6th round pick. So we could get ourselves one of those good forwards and also some draft capital for Gabriel Dag. But the also thing is, where the hell do I play Braden Point if I was to bring in Braden Point? Because Braden Point is like an 87. And currently we already have like how many good forwards? Let's see. We already have, yeah, he would have to be on like maybe the 2nd/3rd line on this team. Actually, Jacuzzi even jumped up to an 85. So I think that completely makes me think I'm not going to be signing any forwards here. I don't think it's worth signing a single forward, because the forward depth on this team is insane. Because down the middle, we'd be running Misa, Stankoven, Misa, and Goldman. Kegrodov would be playing as a 3rd-line left wing, and then Lucius playing as a 1st-line right wing. We'd have Groshek as a 2nd/1st-line left wing. We'd have Hellenius as a 1st/2nd-line right wing. Irving as a 1st/2nd-line left wing. Jacuzzi as a 3rd-line right wing. And then Wilson would probably be as a 4th liner still on this team. So I don't know where we're supposed to bring in some capital in terms of this team, because we obviously need more cap hit. And then defensively, I don't know who gets in on that top 6. So we have a lot of questions still with this team, but I think we're going to be an insanely good team next season, but maybe too good of a team at the same stage. So I don't know what we want to do, but I want you guys' opinions on what we should do. Do we bring in ourselves like maybe just a defenseman or something like that to help bolster the defensive core big, because the offensive core obviously looks really good on paper, because obviously defense was a big problem last year when we were in the playoffs. So maybe we bring in a veteran defenseman, but then we also have to think about where the heck we're going to play a lot of those younger defenders that are going to be able to line up because of that. So let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.